Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. In this video, I'm going to discuss another Leetcode problem, and this problem is based on string. Okay, so now let's see the question. So the question is minimum add to make parenthesis valid. Okay, so now let's see what this question is saying to us. So the question is a parenthesis string is valid if and only if it is an empty string. It can be written as A concatenated with B, where A and B are valid strings. Okay, it can be written as first bracket A and first bracket close. Okay, where A is the valid string. You are given a parenthesis string S. In one move you can insert a parenthesis at any position of the string. For example, if S equals 2, the string you have like first bracket open and then close, and then again 2 times it is closing. Okay, so you can insert an opening parenthesis to be like this kind of, you can like insert an one more opening parenthesis. Okay, like better we can say like it's the first bracket, right? So or like closing parenthesis, or you can simply just say parenthesis should be fine. So or the closing parenthesis, you are adding one closing parenthesis this here. Okay, so return the minimum number of moves required to make S valid. So like I know this question is confusing, but what is actually, so what this is means, like suppose you have a string, right? Suppose you have this string, you have to make this string valid. So how you can make this string valid? Like suppose you have this first bracket or like parenthesis opening and then it is closing. Okay, so now closing parenthesis, right? So it is not a valid string. Okay, because you have only two closing parentheses, you need two more opening parentheses, then only you can say okay it is a valid string. Okay, so for better understanding we can go through some examples. Like suppose we have our first example, this is our example. Okay, so as you can see, if we have one opening and then we have one closing parenthesis, okay, and we have another closing parenthesis only. So if you want to make this thing valid, then you can add one more, what you can add one more opening parenthesis, right? Suppose this is your opening and then you have closing, and again you have another closing. To make this string valid, you have to add another opening parenthesis, right? Though it means you have to make one move only. Or better you can think this way, that okay, you have to add one more opening parenthesis. Okay, you can think this way also. For the second example, you can see you have only 3 times opening parenthesis, you don't have any closing parenthesis. So obviously this string is not valid. To make this valid, you have to add 3 more closing parenthesis, then only you can say okay that string will be a valid string. Okay, so these two examples are clear to you. Okay, and also this question is clear to you. If in a simple way I can say that you have to make that particular string valid. To make that particular string valid, you have to have equal number of opening and closing parentheses, right? So I have another example, this example. So in this example, like you can see you have one opening and then you have one closing parenthesis, right? Okay, I think it's fine. Okay, so now after that you have this string, and this string is not a valid string, right? Because at first you have closing and then again you have closing and then again you have opening strings. Okay, if you have the same string this way, then you can say this will be a valid string, but that is not the case here, right? That is not the case, because you have what? You have this one. So to make this string valid, what you need to add first, for this closing parenthesis, you have to add two like opening, and make these two opening parenthesis, you need two closing. So total how many number of moves or like how many parentheses you need to add? That is total 4. So I think this thing is clear to you, that how it is working. Okay. So for this kind of thing, you need 4 more parentheses to make this particular string valid. Okay, so what 2 things you have to know, that the opening and closing parenthesis, number of the parentheses, opening and closing, that should be equal. Okay, and also one thing you have to consider the sequence. Okay, the sequence is a big factor. If these 2 parentheses, if you have this way, then if you have in the starting, then it will automatically a valid string, but that is not the case here. You have this opening parenthesis, later this closing parenthesis. That's why you have to make 4 more moves, or like you have to add 4 more parentheses to make the particular string valid. Okay, I think this question is clear to you. For this kind of questions now, we can simply use stack. Okay, see how we can solve this problem. I think this question is totally clear to you. So as expected, I will solve this problem in Java as same as I did in my previous videos. So I usually solve problems in Java, but you can understand the logic and you can implement the same in any language. Okay, so at first I will take one stack. And what kind of stack I will take? Because I have to store the characters of the string, right? So that's why I need to take one character type stack. Okay, so stack character. One next task will be to traverse this particular string. Okay, so for char I will use for each loop. Okay, or like for enhance loop. Okay, so and then to traverse our particular string, I am using this for each loop. Okay, and this to-char array method, it will do nothing. It will just convert a particular string into an character type array. Okay, and each character of our particular string will be denoted by the C character. Okay, I think this for each loop is clear to you. So now there are 2-3 conditions we have to check. What will be our first condition? Like as you can see in this question, you can see a parenthesis string is valid if and only if it is an empty string. Okay, fine. It can be written as AB, means you have letters or like alphabets also. Okay, and A concatenated with B, where A and B are valid string. So means you no need to do anything if you have letters or like alphabets. Okay, it can be written as like parenthesis opening A, means any letter it can be. For example, you have here capital A, you can have B or you can have C and all, and then it will be like closing, it will be like finished or like it will be closed by one closing parenthesis. Okay, so where A is a valid string. Why so? Because here you have this like character or like capital A, you have one letter by first bracket or like parenthesis opening, one opening and closing parenthesis. So it is also a valid. So the moral of the story from these 2 points, what we have understood, that we can have letters also, and we no need to must bother about this letters, because letter is not a big problem for us. So what is the problem for us? If we have the parenthesis, means only if you have the parenthesis, that will be the problem for me. Okay, so for these letters we no need to do anything. Okay, the problem will come if we have the like parenthesis only. Like in the third example, like for this example, you can see you have this S and you have only the parenthesis, right? So now you have one opening and then closing. Okay, and then you have only two closing, you don't have any opening parenthesis, then that is the problem for you, and you have to problem this so that you can cover these scenarios. Okay, so these 2 point is very helpful, because from these 2 points you have understood you no need to do anything if you have letters. Okay, I think these 2 points is clear to you to only consider, or like we have to only should bother about our parenthesis. Okay, so now if our particular character, so whatever I have said, I will implement the same in our solution also. So suppose if your character is a like opening parenthesis, or like our particular character is a closing parenthesis, then we will check something. What we will check? First, if our means stack size is greater than 0. Okay, if our stack size is greater than 0 and our sk toward pick is also is equals to a opening parenthesis, right? And our current character, means this C, this C is denoting the current characters of the string, right? So if our particular C is also equals to a closing parenthesis, then only we can do sk.pop. Okay, so if you don't check this thing now, then it will give you exception. Suppose your stack is totally empty, but still you are trying to like popping something. In that case, you obviously will get exception, because you cannot pop if you don't have any element in your particular stack. Then how you can remove any element if you don't have any element in your stack? Okay, I think this point is also clear to you. So now next, or else any other cases, we can just simply push a particular character. Okay, and our particular character will be two kind of characters we can only store, right? Okay, I have to add this or also, I forget. Okay, so we will add in our stack only this opening and closing parenthesis. Okay, when we will remove any element from our stack, first if our stack size is more than size 0, okay, and our peak means our topmost or like last inserted element is a opening parenthesis, then we have another scenario. If our current character is a closing, means our topmost stack element is a opening and our upcoming character is a closing, then only we can pop our topmost element. Checking if our topmost element is a opening parenthesis, then only we can remove our opening parenthesis by a closing parenthesis, right? You will get it better if I describe the same in an example. By using an example, you will get it definitely better, so no need to worry about it. Okay, so this is the two things you have to remember. Okay, so after that we can just simply return our stack size. Okay, so if I just run this code and let's see what will happen, and then if it's not executed proper, okay, it is accepted. Now submit this code once, and then we will discuss our time complexity, space complexity, and also I will explain this whole solution with an example. So first is, here I am using one dimensional stack, right? So for that, your space complexity will be order of n. Okay, and what about the time complexity? Here I am using one for loop, okay, to traverse a particular string. For that, our time complexity also will be order of n. Okay, so now I will explain this same solution with an example. Okay, so suppose what we have, okay, these two examples are so easy, so I am taking some example. Okay, so first we have like opening, and then we have closing, and then again we have 2 times closing, and again we have 2 times opening. Okay, so first our first character is one opening bracket. Okay, so this else block will execute, because if block won't execute because this condition won't satisfy, so that's why this else block will execute. Okay, and we will just push our particular element to our stack. Okay, so what is the element we will add in our stack? That is one opening bracket. Okay, and next we have one closing. So next we have one closing. Okay, I am just taking this. So next character we have one closing. Okay, so now this if block will execute, because our stack size is more than 1, because just now you have inserted one element, so now your stack size is 1, right? And our peak element is also this one, because this is your last inserted element that is you have in your stack, that is a one opening bracket that you have just inserted. So this condition will also execute or like also satisfied, and your upcoming character means your current character is also a closing bracket, right? So now these 3 conditions will satisfied. Now we will just do one popping. So now in your stack you have nothing, your stack size is 0, right? So now what will be our next character? Our next character is a one closing bracket. Okay, so same one closing bracket, or like I am just removing. Next, what is your third character or like second index position element is our one closing bracket. Okay, so now again this if block won't execute, we'll just push our element. Okay, so now in your stack what we will have, in your stack you will have one closing. Okay, so now again you have another closing. So now again your next character will be one closing. So this if block won't execute, because although this condition will execute, but your last inserted element is not an opening bracket, because it is a closing bracket, as you can see. Okay, so now again this else block will execute and we will just insert our second closing bracket. Okay, so now again our next character you have our one opening bracket you have. So now again this if block will execute. Okay, now we will check this for this if condition. So although this condition will satisfied, but our sk.peak element is closing brackets only, we don't have any opening brackets. So again this if block will not execute. Okay, we will come to our else block and we will just add our one opening bracket. Okay, so next you have again one opening bracket. Okay, so next opening bracket you have, the if block will execute, and obviously this if block won't execute because your sk.peak element is a opening bracket, that's true. Okay, and your size is also greater than 0, but your upcoming character is a opening bracket, not a closing bracket, right? So this if block will not execute, we will come to our else block and we will again add our opening bracket. Okay, so now you can see your stack size is 4. So at the end I'm just returning that stack size, because to make this particular string valid, then you have to add 2 opening brackets and 2 closing brackets you have, means you have to make 4 moves. So or like we are just at the end we are just returning our stack size, because we need to make this 4 parentheses valid then only. Because like suppose if in your stack you have only closing brackets, if you want to make any particular string valid, then you have to have same number of closing brackets. If you have 4 opening brackets in your stack, and if you want to make a particular string like valid, then you have to have same number of closing brackets also, right? Same thing is applicable here also. Like if you have 2 opening and 2 closing brackets, it means you have to have or like you need 2 closing brackets and again 2 opening brackets, because sequences also matters. So it's not like you just moving this parenthesis and it will be like valid. It's not like that. The sequence is one factor that you have to consider, and also the opening and the closing brackets, number of the opening and closing brackets number must be same. Okay, so I think this question and this solution, and also I have explained the solution with an example also, but still if you have any doubts, any questions, please let me know in the comment section and I will be happy to answer. Okay, so thanks for watching, and if you like my video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.